Hey, round up homies, what's going on? IG homies, what's the deal? I am Chris Haskins. I'm your co-pilot, depending on where you're looking. I'm your co-pilot on IG. I'm your pilot on YouTube. So today, I'm hanging out with my friend, mentor, real estate investor, landlord, flipper, builder, all that stuff. Dan Borrero. How you doing, my friend?
How are you doing, Chris, man? Always a pleasure to be on with you, man. Always have a great time.
Yeah, I have a good time too. So I don't even know if you can't hear me. Okay, hold on. Let me see. I guess I got to take it off. I'll take it off there. 1, 2. Is that okay, Dan?
I can hear you.
You hear me? Okay, 1 second. Let me turn this down. Well, I might be able to do it a different way. Y'all let me know if you can hear. Can y'all hear anything? Hey, Mike Shakes, can you hear us now? 1, 2, 1, 2. Yo, let's see. How about now? Any better? Anything better? Okay, good. So my mission in ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. And doing that, I want to bring to you the best, most comprehensive people that I know in the business. So Dan and I talk frequently, and we're moving tenants in and out, doing deals. And Dan was like, you know what, man? Well, I think let's rewind. Dan was just explaining to me what he was doing.
Chris, excuse me a second. I'm going to get something for this. Give me 1 second.
All right. Dan was explaining what he was doing, right? And I'm like, Dan, you know, you're a big deal. You're a big deal doing this stuff. So when he told me what he was doing, I wanted to share with the roundup homies. Dan, I'm going to put my headphones in so the mic will work on IG. I think that'd be best. What do you think? Oh, shit, he can't hear me. Dan. Dan. If you put your headphones in on your phone and just let the mic hand, there you go. Yeah, we don't have to hear each other on IG. They just need to hear us on IG. Sorry, y'all. We're making this work. We're doing it the homeboy hood hookup.
Chris, it's not.
Somebody said they can hear us both. We're good.
Say something, Chris.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
It's not picking up. Say it again, Chris.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, we're going to have to cut this off. Guys, give me 1 second. We're going to come right back.
Yeah, just come on, bring them on over to IG, YouTube.
Yeah, I am, but let's just cut it off for 1 second, then we'll bring it on back.
Sorry, y'all. Got a few technical things we're trying to get worked out. Dan wants to see if we can do IG at the same time. I don't think it can work, but I'm not sure because I'm not an expert at IG. So Dan was doing some tenant move outs, right? And I'm like, when I saw what he was doing, he was going down this list. And what we're going to share with you today, it's going to be crazy. Let me show you what the screen looks like. This is something called an addendum rider, okay? It's 11 pages. We're going to be going over all this stuff today. Look at this. Move out stuff, tenant move in. Because Dan, let's give us a little background on you and tell us about, let me ask you, my philosophy is either you're going to train the tenant or you're going to be trained. What do you think about that?
Oh, God. I've never heard it said like that, Chris, but I got to tell you, Chris, send me that it should work now.
Okay.
Like, I've never heard it said like that, but man, you hit the nail on the head. So, you know, I found that in order to avoid problems and minimize your stress level when it comes to tenancy, it's all about having process and procedures in place.
Mm-hmm.
And those process and procedures got to constantly be changing because the environment's constantly changing, right? And when I say environment, not only are the laws governing tenant landlord behaviors on both sides are constantly changing, but also the personalities of your new tenants, as well as personalities in your existing tenancy changes as a result of life changes. It could be divorces, death, could be financial stress, whatever those stresses are, causes personality changes. So it's always best to cover all your bases on tenancy on the contract, and your contract is the lease. So I have an addendum that I've used, and it constantly changes every year based on my experiences.
Dan, where did this today? We're gonna go over this addendum. I'm telling y'all, you are in for such a treat. This stuff here, you ain't getting at no Office Max or even from a Chris Haskins. This here to me is almost better than the lease. It just goes and you're initialing every page. Dan, when did you come up with this 11-page writer?
You know, I've been doing this since '89, Chris. You know that, right? So what happens is that as every year there's a different experience. As I said, there's different personality changes, right? Either leaving or coming. There's different laws. So you have to adjust. You gotta, you know, it's not only about preparing, it's also being able to pivot according to the variables that you can't control. You can't control people's personalities. You can't control people's behaviors. What does control their behaviors and what dictates what's right and wrong is what's on your lease.
You know, I just think we all feel. I remember hiring my first contractor. I thought he was going to go in there and just magically read my mind and do all the repairs that I wanted him to do. I had no idea. I had to have every repair listed on the paper. Same thing with tenants. I just thought that they would just treat my property just like I would, pay every month, first of the month. Oh, Chris, here's your money. When they move out, they would clean the place to the top and bottom. They want their security deposit back. I don't know what was I was thinking. Well, I don't know what I was thinking, Dad.
Listen, we're humans. And humans have defects. And what determines what those defects are is not your opinion. What determines the defects in our relationship between landlords and tenants, it's what's on the lease. So why are you not making sure everything is covered on the lease?
I love it. So, Dan, we already got somebody. Jesse, hey, you're asking, that's weird you ask. Dan so graciously is allowing us to, he's going to offer this to my roundup homies. You don't even offer this for sale, do you, Dan?
Nope.
I don't know.
I did it. I did it once to my mentorship class that I do on Wednesday nights. But I mean, that was just to the class. And it's so minimal.
It's 49. Listen, guys. So if you want to follow along, this document, 11 pages. If you want to, when he told me about this, I'm like, Dan, I need that. I remember like it was yesterday. I'm like, Dan, I need this, dude. It took him some time to get it to me because he didn't necessarily have it, outlined like it is now. But round up 10 in the video description below, you can follow along. It's like $49, less than the cost of a tank of gas to train your tenants. And I don't want anybody to think that we're treating any humans less than humans. I promise you, train or be trained. Every time I have a new tenant come in, I'm like, Chris, are you going to train them or they're going to train you? I have to ask myself this question.
You know, Chris, it's not even insulting because I'll tell you why I don't think what you're saying is insulting. Because at the end of the day, in every relationship, there's a training process on both behalves, on both sides, right? Mm-hmm. So, and there's an expectation on both sides. If you are a worker and an employer, there's a training process. You as the workers training your employer as to what you expect and what your personalities are. And you hadn't even discussed that, and it's in your employment letter as to what your job description is, right? In everything in life, when you go to in college, you go to a class, and the first thing the professor does is give you the syllabus. These are the assignments. These are the books we expect you to get, and this is when we expect these assignments to be in, and this is when the exams are. It's no thing about it. This is the reality. It's not even a thing about training. I mean, I should say that we're being trained or training every aspect of our lives. So, the only difference is with this, unlike other relationships, whether it's a friend or family, where there's nothing written, but when you go to work employment, when you go to school, everything's written down, what the expectations are on both sides of that relationship. So this outlines what the expectations are on both sides. That way it doesn't leave anything to chance, right? So on this lease, I remember you called me up and you said, yo, people actually sign this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, if they don't, I don't rent it to them, because there's nothing in there that's unreasonable, right? So guys, there's parts of it that you won't be able to use.
Yeah.
Right? Because some of it is pertaining to a porch area, because I have apartments that have porch areas. I have houses that I rent that have a porch area. You know, some of it's pertaining to the landscaping. Who's responsible for that, right? So if you don't have a single family house that you're renting, that doesn't pertain to you. So you could take that out, right? If you don't have a porch, that doesn't pertain to you. If you have a single, like I have a section in there about not having anything in the hallways. You know, I hate when I walk into one of my properties and I see a bicycle in the hallway or a carriage. You know, they're not paying me rent for the public hallways. You know, and besides that, it's a danger to the first responders in the event that there's a fire.
Wow.
It's a danger to the rest of the tenancy in the event that there's a fire. Right? So it's not that I'm trying to be a schmuck about things. It's just, it's a matter of safety. Right? So there's an expectation of things. So if you don't have a multiple family property, it's just, and you have single family homes, you could take that out. But, you know, you have to use what's applicable. The other thing that's really important is there's certain things I have in my New York lease there's certain things I have in my Florida lease and New Jersey lease that is not applicable in my New York City leases, because some of that may not be legal in the city of New York. So, you know, this is essentially, you know, as a sample. Always discuss this with your attorney prior to you putting it in your lease, because Chris and I are not attorneys, and every municipality has different rules and different regulations. And when it comes to, you know, housing laws. So again, these are just recommendations that I've been using and multiplying over the years. As per, you know, every year there's another experience that I encounter, and I said, should have had that in my lease.
We just came back from that training with Bet David. He talked about how he lost a couple $100,000 on that hotel room.
That's right.
Like with act of God, he didn't have on his I don't know what you call it,
on his contracts. Yeah. So he put it in there now. Every single time he rents a conference room, he was saying he puts in there, he makes sure that those words, act of God, allows him to get out of those contracts without any penalty.
It's so weird how something always comes up. I don't care how long you've been doing it. Stuff just comes up, right?
That's right. So for those of you that are on my Instagram channel, if you want to actually see the copy of this lease that we're discussing, please go to Chris's YouTube channel, Chris Haskins.
Yeah, you're going to have to come on over, because there's no way we can share this stuff here. This is some deep stuff. This is some in-depth. That's why I like talking to you, Dan. We're going to give them, this is the game here today.
Yeah, man. Let's get started.
Let's do it. Okay, so what is it, 3:20? I'm going to add this to the stream roundup. If you're just joining us, I'm hanging out with Dan Borrero today. We're going over his lease addendum rider that he gives with every tenant that comes in. It's going to help you move tenants in, manage them smoother, and move them out. If you're anything like me, you think when somebody moves out of your house, they're going to clean it and vacuum the floors and shampoo the floors and give you the property in pristine shape. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Unless you got something like this, it might get close to it. So Dan, thank you for giving us. If you want to follow along, you could download it in the video description below. Dan is so gracious enough to give it to my rounduppers for like $49, less than a tank of gas. Dan, let's do this, man. We don't have to cover everything.
No,
I want to cover the big stuff, you know.
I'd like you to go, if you know, because you just mentioned about when people move out, they don't leave it clean. So why don't you scroll down to that section, Chris?
This is my favorite. Matter of fact, y'all, this is 11 pages. So this is, and you told me about, this is the first thing you told me about, Dan. Good Lord, this is longer than some mortgages. And
again, remember, everyone, there's certain things that won't apply to your particular property, so you could remove those, right?
Yeah, this is in, when you download it, y'all. This is in it's
a PDF.
No, Word. It's a Microsoft Word format, so you can. Where is it? You can cut and paste, put anything you want to, take it out. I see sprinkler system. Ain't nobody gonna have that in some buildings.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to keep going, man. Did you pass it?
I have to. I'm at the end.
I'll tell you what article number it is. It's article number 24.
24. This is my favorite part of this thing.
So, guys, I'm always preaching. You want to, you know, my tenants, when they're moving in, and I intentionally, I listen. Whether you have, I have property managers for some of my properties, not all of them, but regardless, I always do the interview. That's just me, my personality. When they bring me an applicant that meets all my criteria on paper, I then do the interview to make sure that one, the personalities is not going, they're not going to conflict, right? That I'm essentially confirming everything that's in their application. You'd be surprised how many times I can find lies and holes in the application just by having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another, how to do the interviews, another,
Another training.
at least another training. But for this part is I go through section 24 one by one, and that way they truly understand what my expectations are and what they're agreeing to do when they vacate. Okay. Now, when they notify me that they are leaving, the first thing I do is send them an email and a text and a letter, and it's certified return receipt, the letter, outlining and telling them to please review section 24 of the lease rider, the lease addendum, and that way they could avoid deductions from their security deposit.
So you're letting them know up front, like, hey, they're getting this before they're even moving in.
Precisely. And then I'm reminding them when they notify me that they're leaving.
Gotcha.
So I've been actually sued in small claims court 3 times
for
what they considered to be overindulgence on deductions,
holding money back from the security deposit.
Correct. And when I go in there with my lease, I go in there with my lease. I go in there with the pictures they signed, showing prior to them taking possession of the property, including the inside and outside of the refrigerator, the inside and outside of the stove, the oven, the microwave, any appliances. I have pictures of inside and outside. This is the way it was delivered, including the windows, showing that the screens were all in place, right? That there's no argument to the condition. And they signed these pictures. Now, when I do the deductions, I give them a picture of the deduction and I refer back to this section. Now, these are the charges that they've agreed to in the event that they chose not to clean the refrigerator or the stove, or if I have for any item of furniture I have to remove. They agreed to this prior to them moving in, and I referred them back to this lease. So when I went in front of the judge and I said, Judge, here's the 3 communications I gave them so that they could refer back to that section of the lease, the section that they agreed to for the cost per item that I deducted for. And here's their signature. Here's pictures of the condition of the apartment prior to them taking possession and their signatures on it. And here's the pictures of what they didn't do when they left, all pertaining back to this section of the lease. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I'm giving them invoices. So when they get the deductions, they're getting the invoices, they're getting the pictures, they're getting that section of the lease. Everything's itemized with documented proof.
Got it.
So it literally, each time that I actually was sued, I then countersued for my administration time and the cost to be there. And I won each time.
What? You're a sneaky little booger.
It's not about sneak. It's about doing, if you do everything by the book, you eliminate the issues.
Yeah. Then removal of tobacco smell, $3.95 per room. What is that? Just giving new carpet?
It could be getting new carpet. It could be having to literally spray kill. You know what kill is. Mm-hmm. It's kill through all the moldings, all the walls, the ceiling, and then repainting it, given sometimes 3 coats of paint. Tobacco smell, cigarette smell is one of the hardest things to get rid of. Now, if you're a smoker, it doesn't really bother you, but there's so many more non-smokers today than there were even 10 years ago. It affects everyone now.
We're gonna get to smoking. That's another line item too. But I want to just ask you, removal of tobacco smell. We'll get to smokers. I want to make sure our roundup knows that. I like that, man. That would prevent, or that would actually deter a lot of people from smoking in the property. Let me ask you, Dan, does that deter them from smoking, or do you still have to collect that when they move out?
You know, man, I got to tell you the truth. It's been very few times that I've had to collect that. Very, very few times. But and the reason the cleaning of the duct system. So in my Florida properties, Florida's an extremely hot state, so everyone has air conditioning there. So if there's a smoker in that apartment, not only do I have to clean the ducts, but I got to pull down what they call the coil in the inside unit and have that power washed
That's another 250.
and then put it back in. And then I have to have all the ducts resealed, meaning they go in there after they clean them. There's a machine that goes in there and they spray kill alongside all four walls of the duct system.
That's horrible.
It's an extremely intensive job and time consuming job. So as a result of that, that's why I have that in there. It's I think it's $8.95 if I remember.
Dan, I just feel for anybody that smokes. I mean, I don't care if you smoke or not, but I know what it does to my houses. I can only imagine what it's doing to your lungs.
Oh, forget about it. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, my heart goes out. So anybody that we're gonna keep you in our thoughts. So we got this cleaning of the light fixtures, ceiling fans, stickers on any doors.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't tell how many times I've walked into my apartments and they got these stickers on the doors, and then when I'm trying to take off the stickers, I'm scratching the door and it's taking off the paint. Now I got to repaint the whole wall, the whole door, or sand it down and then repaint it, right? So it's including the refrigerator, So there's a cost for that. There's a cost for that. My cleaning company charges me more every time. They charge me per hour that they got to be in there. So, there's more time that's spent on that. There's a cost to that.
It's funny you mentioned that because us being new landlords, don't think about that. We just think, it's just a sticker on the wall. But you added multiply that times 10 going in there, and those stickers are hard to come off. Sometimes they can peel off the.
Yeah, you got to do it just right. You got to use the glue off. It's extremely time consuming to get it off.
So roundup, you're gonna get this. That's crazy. So we got that battery. I never even thought of battery smoke detectors. They just leave them and they're beeping when I go in there.
I do that more as a deterrent for them not to replace it, because at the end of the day, it's a safety issue, not only for themselves, but for the rest of the people in the building.
Yeah.
So, it's more as a deterrent for them. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's more as an encouragement for them to change those batteries every year.
Gotcha. So pets, Dan. Okay, so you have no pets here. This is Dan's lease addendum rider. Okay, we're going to be going over this, and if you want it, you can download it in the video description.
So the pets. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no pets allowed. Go ahead.
The pet situation is also by state, and municipality. Some states say you're not allowed to do that. Some cities say you're not allowed to do that. I do know that if it's a service pet, you don't have a choice but to let it in.
Yeah.
And you can't decline anyone because they have a service pet. I mean, you could decline them if their credit isn't up to the required amount that you're looking for, or if they don't have enough income to pay for that apartment. But you can't use a service pet to decline them. You can't use that as an excuse.
Yeah. So 3, number of occupants allowed, Dan. Tell me about that.
I specifically make sure that any adult occupant in that apartment is on the lease, and I could hold them personally responsible for every aspect of this lease. If one of them moves out, it's irrelevant. They're still responsible unless they have their names removed from the lease, and there's a process for that. I do a new lease, and the existing tenants agree to let that person out. I then return. They tell me what portion of the security belongs to him. I do a walkthrough, and then on top of that, they have to now the remaining 3 people will have to cover that additional the security deposit that I gave. Now, there's a fee to that because when you have in the city of New York, there's a lot of times on a 3-bedroom unit you may have 3 roommates. Okay, they're young. And I was getting sick and tired of every year, one roommate moving in, then they're finding another roommate. Well, guess what? That's time consuming. So there's a fee for that here in this lease as well.
Gotcha.
I can't continue to work for free. I'm not here to work for free.
I didn't even think about it until I got older. 30-day notice. Tenant will give 30 written days. We do a 60-day notice, Dan.
So that's one of those things you could change according to your municipality. It's either
Yeah.
30, 60, some require 90.
Gotcha.
Heavy machinery. I mean, in the city, you don't want washing machines or dryers in your apartments for multiple reasons. But then if my apartment's in Florida, they all have washing machine dryers. So this would not be applicable to my apartments in Florida, but definitely something I put in my New York City leases.
Gotcha.
Obstructions, this is a good one. Obstructions of television antennas, you don't really see that much anymore like you used to.
They used to put them on my roofs.
Yeah, you remember that. But believe it or not, there are some people that still use them. But I don't want to see, satellite dishes hanging off of my roof or my windows or my fire, especially on my fire escapes. That's a hot fire hazard. That's fire escapes are used for egress and to enter. For the firemen use it to enter, and residents use it to egress. And when there's a fire and there's a lot of black smoke, you need things as clear as possible so that people could egress safely.
Yeah. No change of locks, Dan.
That's pretty much simple. You could change them. I have to be notified so that I can have a key in the event that there's an emergency.
Well, presuming, let me see, 24. Do you have a fee down here if you have to change the locks back?
I do not actually. You know what, though? I am going to put that on there now.
I always have to change. I don't know why they want to change the locks. I still need a copy of the key, whether it's my lock or yours.
You know what? I change the locks every time the tenant moves out, though. I change the locks if it's a multifamily to the front door and to the apartment every single time.
Let's see. Plumbing fee, Dan. What's that about?
This came about. I'll tell you the story. This was years ago in the beginning of my career, I think it might have been like 92 or 93. I got a tenant every 2 months. I'm getting a phone call. The toilet's clogged. And every time I send somebody up there, it's one time it was batteries. Another time it was the cover to a deodorant. Or another time it was a plastic toy.
And in the toilet.
In the toilet. So now the lease comes up. I put that in the lease. Do you know I never got called to unclog that toilet ever again? Never again.
That is so.
Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah.
It ain't fair. They're going to just dog you out when they know they're going to get away with it. But now you put this 280 in here.
Yeah. Things change real quick, man. All of a sudden, they don't need you longer. All of a sudden, they become real careful.
Don't you put it in that toilet, boy. That's cool. So this is definitely something I'm going to add right here, Dan. That is sharp. How many times have I gone on, especially my younger ladies, 16 and under, man, they just, man, those sanitary napkins, it's just, I remember one time we pulled out 16 tampons out of the sewer line, and I'm being real with y'all. It's no disrespect to any of my ladies. I love y'all. Just you have to be trained. You're not born knowing not to flush this stuff.
Let's talk about 16, man, because this is
let's
really
go.
important.
Landlord held harmless. Go ahead.
So 16, at least none of my insurance policies will cover my tenant's personal items. Never. So what happens is, and what happened to me during a fire, this one woman on the third floor of one of my properties puts her curtain over the halogen lamp, the top of the halogen lamp, and just inflamed the curtain, and the fire just spread across the apartment.
Oh man.
And
that's nasty.
She turns around and sues me for the cost of all her personal items. And I was like, wait a minute. You start the fire. It's your personal items. My insurance company will not cover personal items. Why are you suing me? And on top of that, after she lost that, she then sued me because I wouldn't rent her the apartment back again.
What?
Yeah, after I fixed it.
People do darndest things, don't they?
Yeah. So I have that in there because, believe it or not, guys, your liability policy 99% of the time will not cover your tenant's personal property. Nope. So that's why I put that in there.
Yep. Number 20, no smoking. How dare you, Dan? I'm a smoker. You can't tell me I can't smoke in my own place.
I'm not telling you can't smoke in your own place. I'm telling you can't smoke in my building. Now there's thousands of other places you could move to that you could smoke in if you choose to. I didn't say you can't smoke in your place. I'm just telling you in my building you ain't smoking.
Let's stay here for a minute because people
smoking is
don't.
tough smell. It goes all over into other people's apartments, and that's so hard to stop, especially if they're heavy smokers. I'm not concerning myself. If you don't give a shit about your health, that's one thing. But I have an obligation to provide a safe and clean environment to everyone else in the dwelling.
They're smoking, y'all. I cannot tell you. I'll never forget my mentor, Greg Penio, says, do not rent to smokers. It will get through the sheetrock. It will go into the studs. It will go up. And Dan, sometimes we've taken ammonia and washed the walls before we put the kills on it. It's just not worth it. Let's see. How is it? Bed bugs, Dan.
So bed bugs is a really big problem in the city of New York. And bed bugs not primarily comes when people, go buy used furniture or they're staying in hotels and come back home. So I don't have any bed bugs in any of my buildings. I haven't had any bed bugs in any of my buildings.
Never dealt with it?
I have not had to, thank God.
Wow.
But that's also because of the process we go through when we're vetting an applicant.
Yeah, but you can't tell. They go to a hotel and get it, man.
No, listen, I can't control that. No, but I can't control if they go out and buy used furniture. But essentially, I'm putting the onus of the cost upon them at this point. And in the city of New York, that could cost between $3,000 and $5,000.
God, Lord, I am definitely at this too because I had one tenant that she said she had them, but panned out. Somebody moved. This is years ago. Never really had to deal with it.
Right.
Thank you for this one, Dan. Bed bug. Oh my goodness. They're signing this as saying that they agree that it's not bed bugs when they move in.
Yeah. Now listen, if there was a history of it, there's actually a website in the city of New York that you could go on to. My understanding is that, and will tell you if there was ever bed bugs reported there by another tenant. So it is my obligation to tell them there was bed bugs in that particular unit if there were. And then at this point, this would null and void this particular part of the article, the lease. However, in my case, I've been fortunate that I haven't had to deal with that. But again, if I do, I have it covered.
You're lucky. You're lucky with that. I'm going to stay here, then we'll move on quickly. Condition of the apartment, Dan. I love this.
So basically, they're saying that the condition of the apartment is reflective in the pictures that they signed.
Mm-hmm. Good. Round up if you're just joining us. As Chris Haskins hanging out with Dan Borrero, my mentor, friend, homie up in Brooklyn, New York. He's training us today on moving tenants in, managing tenants, and moving them out. Okay. So this is his lease addendum writer. He's going to give us. You can download it in the video description below. It's just going to cost you nothing but like a tank of gas. So when you move your tenant in, boom, 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 boom. Don't be like me. Lose all sorts of money just doing stuff willy-nilly. I'm like, if something was broken, I would just, back in the day, I just suck it up and fix it.
Yeah, now, I used to do the same thing. But as you know what, man? Tenants trained us.
They
Tenants have trained me well.
They do.
There's no doubt about that. This all comes from, literally over 30 years of training at least addendum.
Getting trained, right?
That's right. I got trained. So guys, for you guys on my Instagram account, Chris Instagram account, head over to Chris YouTube channel, Chris Haskins. The copy of the addendum is there, and portions of it that we're discussing, you could actually read it as we're discussing it.
Yeah, it's right there. Just come over to the YouTube channel, Chris Haskins. Dan, smoke detectors.
Actually, hold on a second. For those of you who are asking me how to get a copy of that, just head over to Chris Haskins' YouTube channel.
It's in the video description.
There's a link for it. In addition to, if you want, you could just DM me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What were you saying, Chris?
We were talking about smoke detectors. I must kind of skip down a little bit after so we can get this all covered.
Smoke detectors. Listen, in my units, I have smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. And there's always a minimal of 2, sometimes 3, depending on the square footage of the apartment. The laws state you should have them, depending where. Some laws state you're supposed to have them in the kitchen. Some municipalities say you're supposed to have one outside each bedroom.
Yeah, that's us.
So, one, know where the law says you're supposed to put them.
Got to know.
2, do not go cheap with them. 3,
Just put 'em
I
in.
always hardwire my smoke detectors. I want hardwire smoke detectors because the battery lasts longer. The battery's just there as a backup, pretty much.
Yeah.
The battery should always be changed annually, even if it's still good. Do not play with your safety. We as landlords have a responsibility to our tenants to provide a safe and clean environment. Do not take those responsibilities lightly.
Good point, Dan. Thank you for saying that. We don't think about it. Even sometimes I go to bed at night, I think about all the central heating and air units, all the toilets, all the refrigerators, all the ovens, all the stoves, stuff that we just heavy as the brow of the landlord and the investor. I don't think people even realize how much stuff and responsibility we really have.
No, we have immense responsibility. We have people's lives and health in our hands.
Yeah, man.
We need to, everything we do should always be around how is that going to affect the health and life of my tenant.
That's right. That's right. Shower curtains, Dan. How dare you? What do you mean? I don't want to. I don't want to keep my shower curtain. Go ahead, bro.
Listen, if their shower curtains are not maintained, the water goes on the floor, it goes to the apartment below. Now I have additional repairs.
That's genius, bro. How in the hell did you think of that?
Again, countless times people leaving the shower curtain unresponsible. Who gives a shit? I'm not paying for it anyway. Now, when they got to pay for the damages that it costs to repair the apartment below, you'll be surprised it doesn't happen again.
Y'all give Dan a thumbs up down in the comments below if that is worth the time today. Shower curtains. Wow. That is so deep. That's so crazy. False applications, Dan. Tell me a little bit about that.
So what happens is a lot of times, sometimes a bad tenant will get through the application process.
Step through the cracks.
And as a result of their actions, it leads me in different directions to investigate. I feel like half the time, landlords during the application process, we become detectives.
Private and
literally trying to figure out the lies, right?
You sound the truth.
Yeah, the best advice I give people is if it doesn't make sense, then that's a problem. If there's a certain aspect of the story that doesn't make sense, it's a problem. So after they moved in, if I have a problem, which rarely happens, I then go back to the application because I want to know what I missed, and I want to know what I missed so it doesn't happen to me again, right? And then in the process of my investigation, as a result of actions that they may have taken now leads me down a different direction. And if I could find a false accusation in my application, that's another reason for eviction. So when you go to the eviction process, you want to pile on as much as you possibly can. And if there's a lie in that application process that you could actually now document, that you now became aware of, and you're going to evict anyway, you want to throw on as much. It's like being a cop, like, the cops, when they lock you up for one thing, but yet when you go to court in arraignment, they got 6 charges.
6 charges. Yeah.
So it's basically the same thing because they figure, let me throw everything to the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And that's
good
what
point.
we do.
Good point. Let's keep moving here, Dan. I don't want to hold you all day. Subletting. We could probably talk about subletting and short-term rental in the same.
Basically, at the end, look, I have in there a section for short-term rental, subletting, Airbnb. At the end of the day, if there's anybody's making money on my properties, better be me. You better not be making money. And if you are, I want a large portion of it. So it's my property. I was the one who sacrificed and saved the money for the down payment. I was the one who sacrificed and went without so I could have a higher credit score. I was the one who, and getting phone calls at, 10 o'clock at night that the water heater broke. I'm the guy who actually is managing everybody, the insurance company, my maintenance people, my realtors, everybody that's involved with that property. The only person there to make money is me. You want to make money, you go buy your own property. You ain't using my money to make profit. You ain't using my property to go make money.
So you wouldn't let somebody rent your place and do an Airbnb out of it?
Absolutely not. No way in hell.
Personal decision, or why is that?
Again, primarily because of the laws. In the city of New York, they're in there 30 days now. They become my tenant. That's legal. Number 2, my insurance will not cover that. Number
Gotcha.
3, in states that my insurance will cover, sorry, I'm not working additionally because you chose to have somebody there and they happened to fall down the stairs while they were carrying a luggage that was overpacked or too heavy. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. It's not about that. It's about if I wanted to deal with Airbnb tenants, I do Airbnb. I don't do Airbnb because I don't want to deal with it. There's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people make a lot of money with it, but I don't want to expose myself to that.
Gotcha. Repairs, Dan.
So you can't do that in every municipality, but in like Florida, you can. So I don't want them calling me up for little minor stuff that they probably actually broke themselves. They could pretty much go do it themselves for $65, right?
This is almost like a deductible.
Pretty much. You know, I got to tell you the truth. I've never used that.
Yeah.
I've never had to. If someone calls me up and they've never bothered me before and it's something minor that they cause, I'm going to fix it. I'm not going to make it. That's for the person who's inconsiderate. That's the person who's calling you up every month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just another enticement for tenants to behave and not to wreck your property and not to bother you with the small stuff.
So you're adding $75 for bad checks?
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
It consumes time. It's time consuming.
Time. It kills you, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Homeless. You want to go with that one or which?
Yeah, pick one more. And then we'll call it.
Let's see what else. Maybe
whichever one you want, man.
Stuff. Parking area, Dan.
So we do have properties that have parking spaces. What's the problem? I then become a parking lot attendant.
I can see you now with the vest on.
Yo, you got a space. Sometimes there is additional spaces.
You know what they do? They park in the visitors set. They park in the visitor spot, and they leave theirs open for their homies.
Yes. So if that plate does not match the registration that I have on file with the insurance card,
say that again.
It gets towed.
What?
I've done that many times. So
get out of here.
Yes.
That's when they have tried to park in the visitor spot and put somebody.
So what happens is they do exactly what you said. They'll park in the visitor spot, right? And they'll have a family member's car stay there now, or their sister's car,
or visitor, or whatever.
Right. Sometimes what happens is this: there's 3 people in the house in the apartment. They have 3 cars, but I give them 1 spot. There's only 1 spot that comes with that rental. Now, if the same car is in the visiting spot overnight at 8 o'clock in the morning, gets towed out because that's not a visitor, that's a stayover.
There, they're over there getting some
now,
bang banging. You're gonna get.
So what happens is now that the registered car that it was supposed to be in that spot goes to the visitor spot. I can't kick him out because, I could call him and say you're not supposed to be in the visitor spot that long, right? But they did what you said. Someone else parked in that spot. But now, the lease clearly says I have to have a registration and insurance. So what happens is I send a tow truck company there, and there's big signs with the tow truck company who to call, and they're coming. If your car's missing, call that tow company. And it's usually about $250 for them to go get the car out.
Yeah, I know they don't like that.
They never make that mistake again. But before we get there, I've given them warnings. It just doesn't happen like this. There's multiple conversations. There's letters that are sent. There's multiple warnings. So I don't want to be a parking lot attendant. I don't get paid to be a parking lot attendant. I'm a landlord. And I don't want to be the parking lot police because then the other tenants, this. I don't want to hear it. It's like taking care of, a classroom or kindergarten people. So little people,
Yeah.
So I'm not. It's everything there is a deterrent not to do the wrong thing. I'm not trying to punish anyone. Because to punish them consumes time. I don't make money if your car gets towed away.
I'm going to you know what? I never thought how every time I used to go to my units, I'm like, how can I get this fool? Every time I go, they're home, but they're not. There's no car in their parking space. It messed with me up. I'm like, I know they're parking in the visitor section. It's just not fair to do that.
It's not. It's not fair to the other people either.
Yeah, other people get the visitors. So I am implementing that, Dan. So many goodies here. Round up. If you don't have it yet, we were Dan Borrero. He have his 11-page lease addendum writer here, where you can download and get all this good stuff here just for $49. That is worth the price of admission here, Dan. Thank you so much for sharing, brother.
Guys, the guys that are on Instagram, hop over to YouTube, Chris Haskins, and you could actually see what we're discussing. He has it right on the screen, and the link is there actually to purchase the addendum as well.
I want to ask one more, then I'm gonna get to Q&A. Let them ask.
Yeah.
What's that one here? Was
go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, tenant insurance, Dan. Tenant insurance.
So tenant insurance in many municipalities, you can't enforce that.
Yeah.
But I do put it in my lease, and it says that I recommend it. Okay. There are some municipalities that you can enforce that, and on those municipalities that I have units, and I do enforce it, and it's relatively cheap. It's only usually, I don't know anyone that's paid more than $190, $200 the most. But it also depends. Yeah, it also depends on the policy they get. There's cheaper policies. But what's funny is I had a tenant that lost her diamond ring, literally down the drain.
Oh man!
And she informed me that the insurance company paid for her diamond ring.
Good for her.
Right. For her. So she
what are supposed to do?
Right. And it was funny because she fought with me about that when she was signing it. She had attitude about it. And I said, well, then don't sign it. I said, don't sign it. And then she calls me up literally about 9 months later, thanking me.
Wow. That's cool right there, Dan.
Yeah.
That's cool. So
it's relatively cheap. I mean, it's so inexpensive to have, and it covers you.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm just thinking diamond ring. I know I have my insurance on my house. We own the house, but wow, man, that's a good one there. So Dan, you've got 11 pages. If you want to get Dan's addendum, lease addendum writer, is right in the video description. If you're on IG, come on over to Chris Haskins on YouTube. We are live right now on the channel. That link is right there. Or DM Dan. Any questions?
So we have a question here on YouTube, on Instagram. Do you talk about pools? I do not, and I'll tell you why. I never buy a property that has a pool. Yeah. I don't want the liability. In addition to the liability, pools consume a lot of time with maintenance. So I do not buy properties that have pools. I may buy a property that has a pool as a fix and flip, but I will never buy a property for long-term hold that has a pool.
Gotcha. John wants to know, wondering if you guys get sad when you evict people.
I used to feel bad. I don't feel bad anymore. And I hate to sound cold about it, but it's like when I fire people. I used to have a hard time firing people, but then I realized I'm helping them when I fire them, because they obviously, if they're getting fired, it's because they suck at what they do. And I'm actually encouraging them to go find what they love to do. So when I have to evict somebody, it's such a long process before the eviction actually takes place, where they've had like multiple opportunities to correct whatever that behavior is, whether it be non-payment of rent, whether it be because of smoking, whether it be because of criminal activity, whatever that excuse is. They've had multiple opportunities before we get to the end of the eviction process. That no, I do not feel bad when I evict somebody.
I kind of feel a little bad depending on the situation. Like if it's a single mom and she's struggling, I try to help pay for security deposit where they're going.
No, that's a different story, right? Think about that. Sometimes life pours on us, man.
Yeah.
So for those individuals, yeah, I've helped them actually move as well. 99% of the time, it's not that's not the case.
That's true. I've only had one of those. I'm just saying, generally speaking, yes. Do I get sad? I'm trying to think. Do I get sad? Nah, this is usually not the case. I'm just like, man, I'd rather. I have this motto, just like with the train or be trained. I have this thing that I tell myself, Chris, would you rather be on the street, or would you rather have them on the street? So.
I mean, literally, that's the case, the situation on our behalf, right? If we can't pay our bills because they're not paying rent, we end up in the street. So it's not a matter of us being mean. It's a matter of us avoiding the situation they're in.
Yeah, man. So I get over that real quick. Like, Chris, you want to be in the street? We'd rather see them on the street. That's easy. That helps me get over it. Who was that, John? That's a good question, though. You got another one on IG there? Somebody asked, do you get life insurance? You better.
Absolutely, you should. Especially if you have, children. You have a moral responsibility to take care of those little people.
Go ahead. You gonna do IG or you want me to do YouTube?
No, you can do yours.
Edward wants to know, left a comment about one of my grandmother's houses has been squatting for years. My aunt's lawyer sent him an order to move, and we're still waiting. Oh man.
It depends what state you're in. That's going to determine the how deep of a problem you have.
That's rough.
Some states are more landlord friendly. Some states are just fair on both sides. So it won't take you long. But if you're in New York or New Jersey, you're screwed.
Jesse, the link is in the video description, my friend, if you want to get Dan's 11-page lease addendum rider that we just went over here today. Edward, we're in New York and I'm in Virginia. Dan is in there. Nelson said your lease is like reading War and Peace. I believe it. And that's short. War and Peace is shorter than your leases. Andrew, one of our members, thank you for supporting. You just got here, but have you guys gone cash for keys to get people out, Dan?
I've never paid cash for keys.
I have.
For me, it's a matter of principle. I shouldn't say that. Hold on. I did once. I bought the building. I needed the building empty. She knew she had to leave. Nobody had a lease. Everybody else had left. She was a woman with 3 kids, which was going to be difficult for her. And she was on Section 8. So I knew it was going to be difficult for her. So when she did find a place, I actually paid for the movers the day they were there. And I did pay her security and first month rent at her new location.
Good.
That was a different situation. She wasn't a bad person. It was just life was difficult. So yeah, if in that sense, I guess I did pay for cash for keys. That was the only time I ever did it.
Happens.
Yeah.
You got an IG here. Any tips on how to put together a lease? This is better than the lease. Here, just get a regular lease and add this onto the back.
Chris, I think you have a lease you said you would throw in, right?
Yeah, I will. Matter of fact, if anybody wants, we'll add that in there. Give me about an hour or so. I will add my lease to this purchase. If you want the download, I'll go ahead and add that. If you already got it, just email me. I'll give it to you. I will add my lease.
Remember, not everything on this lease you could use because, like I said, if you have an apartment that doesn't have a porch or parking area, those sections that don't pertain to that apartment, you remove that. In addition, every municipality, I said earlier, has different rules and regulations. So some of these lease sections may not pertain to where you are actually practicing your real estate. So you have to use the sections that do pertain to it. And like I said, this is for sample purposes, just to give you some ideas. And you should always discuss this with an attorney that specializes in housing laws in your specific area that you're practicing in.
And sometimes what I've seen, Dan, but just between my rounduppers and you, if you put something in there and they may or may not abide by it, and the judge is either going to say yay or nay if you go to court, and they may not even allow you to do it. But sometimes the tenant will abide by it.
Precisely. But you know what? I don't want to give that say that because
I'll say it.
We're not attorneys.
I'm not an attorney, but my mentors told me that.
Listen, somebody's asking, what about people that vape? So on my lease, it covers vaping as well. No, vaping is just as bad, almost just as bad. Not as bad as just regular cigarettes, but almost as bad. The smell gets into the duct system. Mm-hmm. The smell gets into the walls. The reality is that's a form of smoking. So no.
Yeah, never. Edward, I'm still waiting to go into that attic. We cleaned out the house this weekend, and I'll go back and do a video tomorrow with that attic. Thank you for asking on that. Edward said he's outside.
I own my own home, and I don't smoke in my house. I smoke outside in my back porch. Awesome.
Somebody says, Rel says there's no holes in this agreement. Tightly sealed.
Listen, I'm sure there's holes in there somewhere. Like I said, every year I probably add at least one more article to it, you know, because something happens and I say, oh man, that'll never happen again.
You got an IG. David Castillo says, do you have a section about parties, Dan?
Actually, I do, because there's a noise section in there. Let me see if I have that in here. I'll find it for you. Give me 1 second, guys.
I'm looking at it too.
Give me 1 second. So long, right? I remember Chris called me up. He goes, "Yo, are you kidding me?"
I would rent from Dan. I'm just being honest.
Listen, this protects every. Not only you know, some people may look at this as bad. You know, if you're a tenant, and I would look at it like, all right, you know, he's making sure that I'm not going to be disturbed, that I'm going to live in peace.
That's
because
true.
the other tenants have the same exact thing. Yeah, did you find it? It's in here. Essentially, guys, there's a noise component to this addendum as well, and that noise component pretty much says that the tenant's responsible for their guests and servants for the noise that they make. Meaning, if their guests are coming up and down the stairs drunk, making tons of noise at night and waking up other tenants, I'm not going to hold their guests responsible. I'm holding them responsible.
Mm-hmm.
If they're servants, meaning people that are coming in to do work for them, there you go. It's covered right there, number 12. If their servants are coming in, people that are either the cable guy, a delivery guy, whatever that case may be, if they're coming in at 6 in the morning making tons of noise, you know, that's a problem. So when I walk into the hall, if I walk in, if it's a 3-4-story building and I walk into the hallway, it's 10 o'clock at night and I can hear the music when I walk in, music's too loud. Why are you imposing yourself on everyone else in the building?
Yeah.
So I'm not doing this to be a schmuck about it. I'm doing this so that everyone in the building can enjoy the same quiet time that they rightfully deserve.
Good point. Good point.
Plus, if you want to listen to music that loud, put your headset on, for Christ's sakes. What are you bothering everyone else for?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said earlier, we have a responsibility to our tenants to keep them safe and make sure they live in a clean and safe environment and provide a clean quality of life. And that includes noise.
Good point, brother. That's a good point right there.
Any other questions?
Good point. Yeah, we do. 1 second. I'm trying to do it,
guys. So for all of you on IG, if you want to copy this lease, head over to YouTube. We're on here right now live. Chris Haskins. And, you know, go to his link and he'll send it to you.
Move the card. Derek McLean wants to know about property manager, Dan.
It all depends. I don't have a property manager. I shouldn't say that. I do have property manager for some of my units, very few. They're in areas that I really don't go too much because I invest in all over the states, Florida, New Jersey, New York. And there's parts of the state of Florida that I don't really travel to because I don't have enough units there to justify my time. Mm-hmm. So I will give that to a manager. It all depends, you know, but otherwise I truly have a machine in place that I can manage all my own properties, but I've been doing this for a long time. There's people on payroll. Everyone has a specific job, you know. So in my case, it's easy to do. Sweet. It's not easy to do. It's just the business I'm in. So that's what we do. If you have a 9-to-5, then give it to a property.
I would say so. This could be hard. It's funny you asked that, Derek. So tomorrow I got my guest, Jeff Spreet. He's coming to talk about that. He's an attorney. He's going to talk about property management tomorrow. You guys got 1 million YouTube subscribers too. So it's going to be a cool session tomorrow, y'all. Make sure you come back to the channel tomorrow, Tuesday.
So one of the questions is, have you had to make adjustments since most people are working from home? Now, not really at all. Because I don't have a problem with people working from home. I can tell you my water and sewer charges have gone up because people are working from home.
You got to pay for utilities there?
Yes. Well, yeah. So it depends on the property, right? So New York properties, yes. Not New Jersey properties. Well, I shouldn't say that. Multiple family properties in New Jersey, yes. Single family homes, no, because then the single family home, that I put that into the lease, that they got to pay their own water and sewer charges. But in your multiple families, yes, your water and sewer charges are going to go up as a result of people being home now when they used to be out all day working.
Yep. John wants to know, do we put money away to get tenants out when they don't pay, I'm presuming?
I have what I call a safety net fund. So 5% of every rent, of all the rent, goes into that fund on a monthly basis. And then if the fund is excess at the end of the year, I'll disperse that as profit, or as interest earned on our initial investment. And then it starts all over again. But it would come out of there. But again, because of my application process, I have very minimal evictions. I mean, minimal.
Me too.
The application process, guys, is the most important aspect of being a landlord, is picking the right person, not getting anxious. I've had units empty 3-4 months, units that I get paid in the city of New York $3,500 a month for, and I had over 75 applications for them. I wait until I find the right person, because it's better to have an empty apartment not collecting rent than to have an apartment not collecting rent and them destroying your apartment and living there for free.
And you can't show it to the person that will pay.
Correct.
I think it took me years and years and years to understand that concept, Dan. Just took me so many years. And my mentor told me when I was younger, he was like, man, better to have an empty unit. I'm like, you crazy. I got this mortgage I need to pay. I need to get somebody in here.
Yeah, it's just you learn as you go. You take your hard hits. But the best part about social media, man, is like this, for instance. You could avoid so much by just watching Chris Haskins.
That's true.
So you could avoid literally thousands and thousands of dollars in losses by mitigating your probability of making mistakes.
Mm-hmm. That's sweet. Now we do have that. Lexi Lou. Hey, Lexi, do we have a video with Dan telling how you got started? Yeah, you can go to the channel. We got plenty of videos on Dan. Just go right to the channel. Type in Dan Borrero.
Yeah.
I'm in deep. Is the moratorium affecting you, Dan? I know certain areas it is.
I got to tell you, it isn't. No. I've got one tenant that's not paying in the state of New Jersey. I was surprised I didn't have problems with her prior to the moratorium. She's a teacher, so she has absolutely no reason financially not to pay. She's actually bought a new car. According to the other tenants, she's been taking a whole lot of vacations. I'm not really concerned about it. I know I'm going to get my money. She's a municipality worker. They're the easiest people to get.
Oh, yeah, I remember her.
So, unfortunately, what I find is the guys that are getting hurt the most are the mom and pop guys, the guys with under 20 units, some of them 3 units, and they live in one of the apartments in the dwelling.
They're in trouble.
Those are the guys that are getting hit the hardest, because if you have 3 doors and 1 or 2 of them aren't paying, you're screwed.
Yes.
Wow. The guys like Chris Haskins and I, we have such a low percentage of those individuals that are not paying as a result of our application process.
Yeah.
Right? That we could sustain that loss. We're eventually going to get the money for it. But what's unfortunate is, like this woman, for instance, she's a teacher. She hasn't lost her income, and she's just using this law, she thinks, on her behalf. But what she's really doing is really hurting the people who actually do deserve that help and do deserve this law. Because whatever you see in the news when you're talking to other landlords, they're only talking about the people that are taking advantage of it, that were not financially hurt by this pandemic.
Write a letter, Dan. Probably write a letter to somewhere. I'm sure that somebody would like to hear this story.
You know what, man? It's not much of time. Yeah.
Same thing.
Trust me, I'm gonna get her. She's gonna move out, and she thinks she's gonna move out without having no recourse. But again, she's a municipality worker. Those are the easiest people to sue and get garnishments on their wages. So I'm not concerned about it. She was in the building prior to me taking control of it. So, I don't even blame myself because I didn't pick her as a tenant. She was there prior to.
Gotcha. Okay, roundup. That has been Dan's 11-page lease addendum writer. If you're interested in just making sure that your tenants right, managing them right, and getting them out when they move out, that little checklist, boom, 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 cleaning the fans, light bulbs. I didn't even know you could charge for a light bulb. I'm definitely going to be doing that, brother.
Yeah, it adds up to a lot of money, man.
It does.
Especially those LED lights.
Yeah, those LEDs are expensive, man.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you, Dan. Any other questions on IG? We'll get out of here.
No, I think that's it, man. But guys, if you're interested, head over to Chris Haskins' YouTube channel, Chris Haskins. And he's got the link there. I'm assuming you're gonna put this recording up, Chris?
Yes, it'll stay up. It'll stay up. Anybody can
let's make it happen, guys. If you have any questions, DM me. If you purchase it and you have any questions in reference to a specific article, you can send me a DM. But again, I gotta say one more time, this is for sample purposes only. Chris and I are not attorneys. This is what I happen to use. I highly recommend that you speak to an attorney. Not all of this may be applicable in the municipality that you happen to be practicing in, but again, it's really great ideas.
Hey, Dan, I got a question from Burkett real quick. It's off the subject, but I think we need to hear some knowledge and wisdom from you. Round up, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that button. He's got two properties locked up, wants to buy, having a hard time getting a loan. He's only done one flip.
So that's a question, Chris, that's open-ended because we need to ask him a lot of other questions to understand where he's at so that we can answer that properly. Do you not think?
Okay, that's gonna take a while to do that. I'm sorry, man. I came in at the end. Trevor, he's one of our members. I got to get him. How do you deal with tenants who work at night, Dan? Landscapers will come when he was asleep.
Landscapers will come at night when he was asleep at night?
No, they come in the day. He's sleeping today.
Yeah, I can't help you. Working hours, normal working hours is from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. I mean, I can't help that. Now, my landscapers do not come to a property on a weekend, they don't come on Sundays. And if they come on Saturdays, they can't come past 10 o'clock and they got to be there by 9, but neither can they come before 9. Gotcha. Because on weekends, people actually sleep in longer. Right. And I think it's not right on my behalf to expect them to work all week or go out on Friday and then have to wake up early because of the landscapers. But I can't control if an individual works at night and then the landscapers come in the middle of the day. And that's normal working hours. I can't control that.
Sorry about that, Trevor. Yeah, Burkett, we'll get you, man. If you come back on again or direct messages. Dan, thank you so much for your time. Like this content. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, Chris. Always a pleasure, man. Take care.
Right. See y'all next time on the next video. Oh, yeah, tomorrow I got my man Jasper Reed coming. This guy is an attorney. He's going to be talking about legal stuff. He's legal stuff with property managers and whether you can manage yourself, stuff you need to worry about regarding long-term holds and using a property management company. So self-management and using property management companies. I'll see you tomorrow with Jasper Reed at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. See you soon, Roundup.
Take care, Chris.
Yeah. Bye.